Hello again. It's September 8th, 2024, and here for our next update. It's been a busy week, and waiting for results, but I'll let Rachel take over.
Well, so we did all of our shots, or I did my shots, I guess. Bruce kept doing his. But I had several weeks of doing, 2 weeks, I think, of doing 2 shots, and then a week of doing 3 shots, and I took a pill. And we had heard that the trigger shot was really bad. Like, that's the shot you take right before you do your egg retrieval. So I took it. I think I did okay.
Yeah, you did right.
Bruce gave it to me.
Other than being up, I had to wake up at midnight and give it right at midnight, so.
Yeah, and Bruce gave it to me, thank goodness. And we didn't have the right size needle because I guess I had used they didn't really tell me what to do with any of the stuff. So I just got this huge box of all these medications, and then there were not needles in there. So then they sent me a whole box of needles, but they didn't tell me what was for what. So I think I probably used the needle I was supposed to use for the trigger shot with something else to mix something. But anyway, we had one that was one size bigger than what we were supposed to use, but it worked. So, yeah, we mixed that up, and I did okay. And so then we went to Bruce and I drove, so it was Labor Day weekend, and we drove to Houston on Friday for my regular appointment. I drove down, and then they said, you're getting close, you need to come back on Sunday. So on Sunday, Bruce and I both drove down.
And we had to be down there at 7:30 in the morning. So
yeah. So
we were leaving here at 4. We're getting up at 4 and leaving here at 4:30, so we could be there at 7:30.
And I had been doing that for 2 weeks. Well, it wasn't. It was a week and a half. So I did it for a week and a half, and every other day I went down. And then for this, I went down Friday, then they wanted me to come back Sunday, so we both went down. Then on Sunday, they wanted us to come back on Monday, so we went back on Monday. And that day, they told me to trigger that night and then come back on Tuesday. So we did. We went back Monday morning. I triggered that night at midnight. We went back Tuesday morning, and Bruce went with me. And I just did blood work, and then we went back Tuesday night because my egg retrieval was on Wednesday, which then meant that Bruce's TESE was also on Wednesday. And so we felt kind of like we didn't know what was going on, I would say. I mean, because it was a weekend, so Bruce's doctor, we weren't talking to them. We had been told at one point they could only do the TESE on Tuesday or Thursday, so we were prepared for a Tuesday, Thursday, and then it was a Wednesday, which was fine. But it just kind of felt, I don't know, a little chaotic, I guess, but we made it. They walked us through, so that was good. So Tuesday, we went down in the morning. I got blood drawn. We came home. We both worked, and then we went back that night, and I did get a little grumpy.
Yeah, you need to back up because everybody says that when you get the trigger shot that her hormones will go whack and she would, have an attitude toward me, what I had heard from other people. But for the most part, she only had one bout. I asked her for a date or something.
No, he asked me. As we're driving to Daddy's to get his car to take to Houston because we didn't know how I'd feel after the egg retrieval. And Bruce says, what day did we go to my doctor the first time? As if I'm going to remember a date from like 3 months ago. So I'm like, I don't know, but I can look.
But it didn't go at that same exact tone. But
yeah, that was the tone.
I didn't need to know the date actually, and I didn't ask again. So it's all
well,
good.
but I looked it up and told him anyway. So because I did have it written down. But then we drove down to Houston, and we had talked about eating somewhere nicer, but it was so late when we got off. So Bruce on the way down there was like, well, I could just get a Subway sandwich. And I said, that sounds great. Because we were, at this point, we have gotten up at 4 a.m. Sunday night, well, Friday night, Sunday night, or morning, Friday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, and Tuesday morning. And now we're driving back to Houston a second time on Tuesday. So we were tired. We were both tired. So I said the Subway sounds great. So then I start trying to find a Subway between Splendora and Katy that is on the south side of the highway. Well, there are none, except there was one in a Walmart, but we're not going to go into a Walmart because the point was to do something fast. So I'm looking and looking. Katy, basically, that was like two exits from the hospital and hotel, because we were going to stay in a hotel right there at the hospital, because Bruce had to be at his appointment at 8:30 and I had to be at mine at 9:30.
And all the way across town from each other.
So we just stayed where I could walk. So we see there's this couple working, and there is a guy in there who appears to be arguing with them, but they were speaking a language that we didn't know. And so he looks aggravated, they look aggravated, but we don't know what's being said. We're just going off of nonverbals and tone of voice. So they help us. She makes my sandwich. She makes Bruce a sandwich. I'm checking out, but I don't have a card, so Bruce hands me his card. Well, now everything asks if you want to leave a tip. So I'm paying, and I said, no tip. And then I kind of look at Bruce, because he's very much like, he doesn't feel pressured to tip at fast food places.
I don't mind tipping, and I feel like I tip good.
He does. He does. That's fair.
If we go to Subways, or we go to somewhere where I'm already buying the sandwich at its price, and all you're doing is making my sandwich and sliding it across the counter to me, I don't understand why I need to give you a tip for I'm already buying your sandwich that I paid for. Well, Rachel had put no tip and then hit pay. Well, the guy got the receipt as she slid the sandwiches to him, and he looked at it, and then he kind of looked at us, and then he handed the receipt to, I think it was his wife.
Yeah.
And she looked at it and then looked at us and goes,
Oh, yeah, she's like.
And then slid our sandwiches to us as me and Rachel looked wide-eyed and at them and at each other and walked out the door quickly.
And Bruce is like, we can't ever go back there. But it was crazy and funny. And anyway, so then we went to the hotel. We ate our sandwiches. It was the best bed I've ever slept in. It was amazing.
So now we're spending $7,000 to buy a bed that,
We haven't yet. But yeah, I did look. And you can buy it. But we get up the next morning, and Bruce heads off to his appointment. And you can tell that because I didn't go. I wasn't there.
Well, it said it would take me 30 minutes to get there. So I left early. I figured I need, if it said 30, I'm going to plan for 50 or 45 to 50. So I leave the hotel room. The traffic wasn't that bad, but then there was like a 3-car pileup in front of me, and I actually had to drive through the pileup and dodge parts on the road to get past them. And then I made it over there to the doctor at about 10 till. And I sat there for about 40 minutes before they got me in to see me. And then they called me back and then started prepping me for the procedure that I had to go through. The last time I had the procedure done, they said it was the worst. The next procedure wouldn't be as bad as that one, is what the doctor said. So I was kind of like, well, I'll survive that one. This one can't be that bad. And it was pretty bad because they had stuck a needle into the testes and
last time.
Yeah, last time, and pulled out semen to see if I had any, and it was positive. So. And it was painful. Had to do it on both sides. Well, this time they had to cut and go into the testes and dig out literally meat from the inside, and that's what they extracted the semen from this time. And it was very, very painful because all they do is give you local anesthesia, and the doctor kind of felt like it was funny because it was hurting up in my gut. And he goes, well, all your tendon and stuff, they wrap around down there. And, and I'm like, well, I can tell. But I survived. They sutured me up and gave me my care package to take to Rachel. And literally every step I take from there to the car was like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But I make it to the car. It had been, while I was in there for about 2 hours. It had started pouring down rain. So I had to get this over there to her as fast as possible because they had already started her procedure. And they had to use mine to mix with hers to make everything work right.
I didn't remember it was raining.
Yeah, it was pouring down. It stopped by the time you got out of the hospital. But, so I carefully got from point A to point B.
Oh, but wait, because they just handed him it's like a to-go container that they would put soup in, basically.
Yeah.
They give him this to-go container, and he's supposed to keep it warm, so tell him what you did to keep it warm.
I thought they were just going to give me a small one, but this one was big. It was a big Peking's supersized soup.
A large wonton soup.
So I didn't know what to do with it because I couldn't fit it between my legs and try to drive. So I reached around back because we had made a pallet for Rachel to lay in the back if she needed to. I grabbed the pillow and stuck it in the passenger seat and turned on the seat heater and put the pillow over it.
I thought that was really smart.
I figured I'd incubate them that way.
Yeah, that was smart.
And took off across town and got there with no issues. It went all smooth.
Yeah, and so after he left, I was kind of like, oh goodness, what did we do? Because then I had an hour where I was alone. And but I got ready, and all I had to do was literally walk out the door of the hotel, make a left, and walk a few yards, and I was there. So I went in, and I signed in, and then they called me. And the only kind of a hiccup, and I had verified that it was okay that he was not going to be there with me because you have to have somebody who can drive you home. And so I had called and said, will it be okay that he is coming to, be here, but he won't be here when I arrive because he's having his TESE. And they had said, yes, that's fine. But then when the nurse came out, she was like, well, who's your responsible adult that's here? And I said, well, my husband is having his TESE. He should be on his way soon. And she said, well, have you heard from him? And I said, well, not lately, because I assume he's having his procedure done. He was supposed to have it at 8:30. And so she kind of was like, but then she said, oh yeah, it's fine, he'll be here. Because I kind of started to panic, and I was like, what are we going to do? But she calmed me down and said it was fine. So they took me back, and I got undressed and laid in bed, and then the anesthesiologist came in and talked to me, and then the doctor came in, because at this clinic your doctor doesn't necessarily do your surgery. So my surgeon was not the doctor that I had been seeing, and I was kind of nervous about that, but I had looked her up, and she specializes in cancer patients who want to preserve their eggs. And so she's one of the most precise surgeons that they have. So she was very nice, and I felt okay about it. But it has been sort of a strange experience as far as that goes, because we met with the doctor one time on Zoom. I met him one time in person because he did an ultrasound, but that was for about 5 minutes. And other than that, we haven't seen him. And so it feels a little strange, but I guess it's okay. So I met the doctor, I met the anesthesiologist, the nurses all came in and talked to me and kind of told me what was going to happen. And then they came and got me, and they hooked my IV up, and I walked into the room. Most surgeries or procedures I've had, they roll you in, but here she just had me walk in there. And you get up on this table, and there's the stirrups, like if you go to the gynecologist, but they have these big boots on them, and they strap your feet into the boots, which was a little unnerving. And then they give you the anesthesia, and that's all I remembered. And so I woke up, and Bruce was there.
Right about the time I got there, she was just waking up. They took me back there. And I went back to her room, and she was just kind of coming to. And
he handed off. I remember somebody coming in and talking to you, and you handing them the container. That's how I knew what it looked like.
Yeah.
And but I don't really remember what they said to you or anything like that.
No, I just had to give them my life story and tell them why we were doing this, and get driver's license and Social Security card. And
no, you have to show your driver's license. That's it. So then they came in, like you wake up and they came in and they said, they tell you how many eggs they retrieved. And so for us, they retrieved 6 eggs. And they tell you that they'll call you the next day to tell you how many fertilized. And then we headed home, and we were actually both, Bruce was in more pain than I was. I did not have any pain. I had full anesthesia, and then I didn't have any pain really afterwards at all. I think I took some Tylenol. Well, she gave me some IV Tylenol because she asked me if I was hurting, and I said it's cramping. So she gave me IV Tylenol, and then I didn't take any other pain medication after that. But Bruce was in a lot of pain, and he had to drive 2.5 hours with me kind of out of it over there back home. So bless his heart. He had a rougher day than I had, for sure.
But it all went well. I survived.
So, and a couple of people have made comments to me. I don't know if they have to you, but they said, oh, well, men just don't really have to put in the effort and they're just big babies. And I was like, my husband has been doing 5 months of shots, 3 days a week. He has had to take shots. And then he had to have the TESE, which is the aspiration, for the sperm aspiration. And then he had to do more shots. And then he had to do this TESE, which is the extraction, which is the, to hurt worse. And so he definitely has put in the time and the effort to make this happen. So I do not feel at all like my husband has not been participatory, because he definitely has had to do just as much as I have to get us to this point, if not more.
Well, if it all works out, and when it will, she's going to go through a lot more pain with the baby delivery than I had to go with this. So we're not,
I know, but it's still just, the fact that you had to want this too. It's not like I could have done this without him participating fully, which I guess is what they sort of are implying. So anyway, and then they called us the next day, and we had 5 mature eggs, and of those that they fertilized, and of those 5, 3 showed signs of growth. And so that they give you this little worksheet, and it tells you the different stages and what happens each day. And so they don't check back in with you. It can be up to a week. And so at this point, we don't really know. We're just hoping that they said about 30% will grow to the blastocyst stage, which is what they have to get to go be genetically tested. So, someone my age statistically has about 3 good eggs a year. So you're really hoping that you get 1 good egg out of all of those. And now, I could turn right around and do another egg retrieval. The nurse sent me a message that they see good outcomes for that with women who are older if they go back to back. But you also then that you have to pay for that. And if we also don't want to just create a whole bunch of embryos that we don't have to. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we find out because if we have any that made it to the blastocyst stage that can go be tested, then we're going to wait and see how that goes before we do another round.
And the best thing about they had told me that whenever they had fertilized her eggs, that they had 4 extra vials of sperm from me, so I shouldn't have to have the surgery again. Now I'm just going to be a participant in Lamaze or holding hands and then being her cheerleader, because hopefully I won't have to do anything else than cheer on from here on out.
Yeah, they said that each vial usually roughly translates into a round, and I don't think that we would do 4 more rounds of this. That's a lot. If we don't get something before then, I don't think it's worth doing 4 more rounds. But anyway, so that's kind of where we are. And Bruce definitely has the faith of a mustard seed. I've struggled.
Well, this is in God's hand, and I feel like if God wills it, it will be done. And all we can do is pray about it. We've had a lot of family and friends praying for us.
We have.
And 3 years ago when we tried this, we didn't even get this far.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle that we've gotten this far. CCA RMs really, they hadn't been really informational to us, but they've helped us,
Yeah.
and we've had success so far. So, I mean, here in the next day or two, we should know the next procedure, and I feel like we're going to put it out there in the world that it's going to happen, and if we got 3 good eggs, we're going to have 3 babies. She's just going to do 1 a year, and here we go. And I'm be an old man raising babies.
Well, and that's part of why, I mean, that is not likely to happen, but it could happen. And so like, that's why, I mean, we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we have more embryos than we're willing to have children. So that's part of the, reason to sort of wait and see what happens. But anyway, like I said, Bruce definitely has the faith of a mustard seed going. I'm struggling a little bit more, but we definitely have a lot of people praying for us. And, if it doesn't work out, we're going to be okay. And Bruce is going to take me on a Mediterranean cruise. So he just found that out.
Well, in the long run, that'd be a lot cheaper, but I'm good with either way.
So anyway, that's it's been a lot. We wanted to record this before we found out if any of them made it to the next stage or not, because we felt like that would, that's going to change how we view things. So we wanted to go ahead and have our perspective from now on what was going on.
All right, until next time. See y'all later.